guys, it's October 3rd, 2018, and we've got some new plants. I have no clue what the name of this plant is. No clue. And I know it looks dead, but if you can see here, there's a bunch of new growth on it, and it's surviving, even though it's been sitting out here for a few days now. I think a lot of these would be great candidates for trying to grow in a bonsai type way. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab some pots and try and grow some of these. A lot of those bonsai planters, they take a lot of roots off because they plan on planting them in smaller containers. However, I'm going to plant mine in larger containers. I'm going to take a substantial amount of these stems off here. I want maybe one or two to be on there with the whole root ball down here. But I'm going to go ahead and clean these up, take some of those stems off, and maybe a little bit off the roots, maybe the tap roots that shoot straight down. I might take that off, and I'll show you guys how they look after I've done that. All right, guys, so I'm done trimming up those plants. Like I said, those plants had been out of the ground for a couple days, so just like everything else, this is kind of a trial and error, and we'll see what comes of it. These are all the pieces off the tree, the plants that I won't be keeping, but here are our plants that I will be planting. As you can see, I've done quite a bit of trimming here. I know this might not look anything like what bonsai should be, and technically it isn't bonsai. I'm just intrigued with the method of training plants the way bonsai planters do. I won't be growing them in pans. I'll be growing them in pots. So here's another little one that I'll be growing in its own little pot. No leaves, but like I said, there's a bunch of growth on all these plants here. So they're just little plants that, you know, I'm sure will look beautiful when it finally sprouts, and when it does, I will be doing more cutting, more trimming on those plants, just to bring it to the shape that I desire. So just a bunch of, you know, I'm just kind of shuffling through the little different plants here that I, you know, had created. As you can see with this one, not too many roots. There's only like that one there, but I'm hoping it has a chance, because if it can survive out here for a few days and still be growing, you know, pretty good, I'm sure it'll be able to survive in the soil. So this plant does seem pretty hardy, but like I said before, I don't know what the name of this plant is, but as I do with all the other plants, I will try and find out the name, and I will post it along with the video. Okay guys, so I'm done putting them in pots, but I only had enough soil to put these three, which are the three smallest of the plants in these pots. Here's the rest of what I need to put in pots. I'm not too worried about it, because as you can see, like I showed you before, there's tons of growth on it. If I don't decide to go get soil from Walmart, some more Miracle-Gro potting soil from Walmart for these ones, I might just go ahead and go out and find it out there in the woods. But here's a close look at one of them. I think it'll turn out really nice. I'll give it about a week or two here before these little leaves turn into long stems that come out and actually start the process of capturing sunlight for this plant. So I'll go ahead and start right back up where we left off here when I do get that soil. All right guys, it's October 10th, 2018, And here we are back at the plants that I plan on giving that bonsai look. So I still have no idea what these plants are called, but I'm not worried about that. As far as the details of what this plant is, I'll go ahead and give you guys the name of the plant when this plant actually comes up. And if I do use any fertilizers with these plants here, it might just be Miracle-Gro that I can just spray into the soil there when it's kind of dry. And I'm not worried about the Miracle-Gro because these are not plants that I'll be eating, and they are not fruit-bearing plants or vegetables. So I'm going to go ahead and pot these plants up, and I'll start recording again when I've got them in there.
Alright guys, so it's October 11th, 2018. It's the morning after I planted these, so I didn't get to record it yesterday because it started pouring and it was getting pretty dark. So here we are the next morning. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus those are the 3 smaller ones that we had planted first. So we've got these in the bigger pots. They still look pretty good. And let me show you some of the growth on it. That's the growth that was already there, but I look forward to a whole lot more growth. And I'll keep you guys updated on how everything looks as time goes by.
Alright, so today is December 11th, 2018, and we are back at the plants that I had planned to grow with bonsai techniques. It's been a while, so it's been about, I think the last clip was October 11th. Today is actually, I think it was October 11th. And today is December 11th. So it's been 2 months since we've been back at this plant, and I now know what the names of these plants are, and I think I have 2 different varieties of these plants. So these plants are called ALLAMANDAs, and I hope that's how you pronounce it. I hope that's how you say it. If that's not how you say it, I apologize in advance. But that's how I'm going to refer to this plant, as an Allamanda plant. And when I had first planted them, you guys remember there was no growth like this, but there were little growths that were about this size, maybe about this size, if not smaller, maybe about that size. But as you can see, the growing medium that I have it in was just soil that I had gotten, not from the store, but just from out there in the woods. And it's a bit like clay. It does have some rocks in there, but it's more like clay. If I just dig in there, I actually don't want to dig because I was watering it the other day, and the top of below the first ½ inch is a bunch of fine roots of the Allamanda. So I don't want to disturb the soil, but it's a bit like clay. That's the best I could describe it. But as you can see here, there's a pretty significant amount of growth on these plants, and they look beautiful. They're pretty awesome, actually. And what I mean, I think I have 2 different types here of the Allamanda plant. It's just because I look at the leaves and they look a lot different from each other. So here's a good example. Here is these 2 plants are right next to each other. Although they are both Allamanda plants, the leaves are clearly different. So the leaves of this one here seem a lot more glossy, as you can see, than the leaves of this one right here, which aren't glossy at all. So I think it's pretty cool that I collected these plants not knowing that they were probably 2 different varieties of the same plant family. I guess you could say. But like I said before, there's a pretty substantial amount of growth. As you can see here with this one, there's just growth all over it. From this stem right here, I just, you know, like I said, I had watched a lot of bonsaiing videos, and you know, I felt like I can, you know, do something like that, or it would even be fun to try something like that. So we've got growth coming up from the base of the plant all the way up to the top of the plant here, and we even have growth coming out of the dirt, which is coming out of those bigger roots that I had left on these little cuttings. Well, not cuttings, but plants that I had trimmed up. So there were 6 big pots and 3 smaller pots. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So with number 6, actually number 5, there was a problem there. And that's this one here. And I believe it is because I didn't leave enough roots on it. I'm not quite sure if it is, you know, beyond being saved. I know the yard man came a couple weeks ago, and I looked over at this pot, and it looked like he'd probably bumped it with something, and it just uprooted the whole plant. And I'm not upset about it, because I've got lots of these plants, but it would have been nice to see, you know, that all 6 of them had made it. Here are the first 3 that I initially had potted, and these were potted in Miracle-Gro potting soil. So these don't look as good as the rest of these, and I'm pretty sure it is because as I water these and as it rains, all the nutrients from that Miracle-Gro potting soil have just washed out. So that soil is pretty pretty empty as far as nutrients go. So I'm gonna have to start watering these with some Miracle-Gro fertilizer. I have every now and then, I think it's been twice that I've watered these with Miracle-Gro. Other than that, it's been rain. The hardest thing about this growing medium though is making sure that it stays moist, because I can never tell just from looking at the top of it, and even sometimes when I actually stick my finger in there and try to, you know, dig at the top, I can't tell if it's dry or not, because even if it's dry at the top, it still could be pretty moist in the center or at the bottom, and I don't want to overwater the plants. However, with these plants, I don't think it's overwatering will ever be a problem, because they survive pretty well. So I'll fill the water up almost to the top and just let it all drain out, because I didn't, you know, put any additives into this soil. I just took it and planted the plants the exact same way I got that soil. I didn't add any perlite, didn't add any cinders, nothing for drainage, nothing for fertilizer. I just got it the way it was and left it that way. Every now and then I will give it some Miracle-Gro just to make sure that there is some type of food there for the plant. This one here is pretty unique because it was just one stem with a root ball at the bottom, and for a while, for like the first month, I didn't think anything was going to come up, and then I saw a small sign of a little green shoot at the bottom, and this is what it's become. So it's pretty cool how these plants, you know, survive some pretty harsh situations. There you can see right there's another little growth. So the plants are developing pretty rapidly, but like I said, see these leaves, they look like they're pretty deficient with something, probably nitrogen, but like I said, I will be adding that fertilizer. Miracle-Gro fertilizer for me works pretty well, because I like to use it on plants that are not edible, or at least plants that I'm not going to consume. It won't affect me, and it looks like it makes the plants happy. So as long as the plants are happy, you know, we're all okay. This one here looks exactly how it looked when, sorry about the noise, there is a huge airplane flying by, but this one here looks exactly how it looked when I had first potted it. although it still has some green leaves, it looks exactly how it looked when I potted it. I need to, you know, get it to start growing. It should look like this one here, or at least like that one back there. Sorry, let me get this to focus. That one back there, but it doesn't look too well. So we'll try to get him to catch up with the rest of them. And as far as this one here, I'm going to cut one of the branches, one of the smaller ones here, to see if it's still green. And if it is, I'm gonna rebury this properly and then try to get it to come back to what these look like. But as far as finding out what the name of the plant is, we now know that this is the ALLAMANDA plant, and as you all can see, it is doing great. And the next video update that I'll have for you all is a video of the flowers of this plant. I probably might wait so that we can see what the flowers look like, and if there's a difference between the glossy leaves, actually I think these are the glossy leaves here and these leaves here. So I'll catch you then, and I'll send you guys the update as soon as those flowers come up.